Do you feel it? That whisper? Like something ancient inside you just woke up. You don't need to understand it yet. Just know this. Tonight is not like other nights. Tonight, something is shifting. Something deep within your unconscious, that forgotten part of you that has always watched, always known, is beginning to rise for too long. You've lived disconnected from your inner source, a force of imagination, healing and insight far greater than anything you were told to believe in. But now, the veils are thinning. The symbols are returning. Your dreams are growing louder. And within this moment, right now, you have the chance to remember who you truly are. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." And you, yes, you are about to awaken. Let me take you into a story. One that could have been lost to time if not for this moment. A man named Elias was once diagnosed with a chronic lung disease. Doctors told him he would live only 2 more years. But Elias did something extraordinary. Instead, he locked himself away for 40 nights, not to escape the world, but to dive into the depths of his own soul. He worked with dreams. He sketched what he saw in his sleep. He meditated using active imagination, the very technique Jung taught. And what emerged from those nights was not only a transformation of his body, his disease disappeared entirely, but a rebirth of his spirit. He said later, "I remembered the archetype of the healer inside me. And once I saw it, I couldn't be sick anymore. This isn't fantasy." The unconscious mind is not a dark pit of trauma and shame. It is a living realm where your true self resides. And when you bring your conscious mind into relationship with it, healing happens not by force, but by alignment. Now, I want you to pause, breathe slowly, inhale deeply through your nose, hold it, and exhale through your mouth. Let your shoulders relax. Let the weight of expectation fall away. There is nothing you need to fix. There is only something you must remember. I want you to write down one thing, a deep desire that comes not from ego, but from your soul. Something your unconscious has longed to reveal to you. Maybe it's the healing of your body. Maybe it's clarity in your life path. Maybe it's peace with someone from your past. Whatever it is, write that in the comments under this video. Don't wait. This is a sacred act. You're planting a symbolic seed into the collective. Speak your healing into the field now. Let's go deeper. Imagine this. You are in a forest. The light is dim, golden. Around you, the trees breathe slowly. Yes, you can feel their breath, a rhythmic pulse in the air. You walk forward, and before you appears a pool. Still, dark, reflective. This is the entrance to your own unconscious. To descend, you don't dive, you sit, you breathe, and you let the surface ripple with images. This is the practice of active imagination. Jung developed it as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind. It's not passive dreaming, it's engaged dreaming. You choose to sit with an image, a memory, or a symbol from your psyche, and you dialogue with it. You draw it, you write its story, you ask it questions, you let it evolve. You give it your presence. Here's an exercise for you tonight. Close your eyes. Think of a recent dream, or, if you don't recall one, think of a strange image that often appears in your thoughts. Perhaps it's a staircase, a forgotten room, a child, a beast, a mask. Now imagine that image is sitting across from you. What does it want to say? What does it need from you? Write this dialogue down after this meditation. You are not analyzing. You are relating. And in that relationship, you create healing. Let me tell you another story. A woman named Leona had suffered from chronic migraines since childhood. She tried every treatment, every diet, every medication. Nothing helped. One day, in desperation, she began drawing her migraines. They always came with a dark red color, a shadow pressing behind her eyes. In her drawings, this red shadow became a figure, a woman cloaked in crimson, with her hands over Leona's face. Through weeks of active imagination, Leona began to speak with this figure. The red woman revealed she was a guardian of secrets, holding back the pain of Leona's childhood abuse, which had never been acknowledged. And through this inner journey, not therapy, not pills, but her own deep symbolic work, the migraines stopped. That is the power you hold. The images inside you are alive. They carry truth. They carry pain. But they also carry the keys to your wholeness. Breathe again. Feel your body. Know that healing doesn't always come in bright flashes. Sometimes it arrives in symbols. Sometimes it whispers. You are already healing right now because you are turning inward. And the unconscious never leaves such gestures unanswered. So here is what you will do tonight. Before sleep, sit with a single image from your day or your dreams. Draw it, speak to it, write with it. Ask it, what do you want me to know? Let it answer, even if the words feel like imagination. That's exactly where the unconscious speaks. And then, as you lay down to sleep, repeat this phrase in your mind. I am ready to see the unseen. I invite the wisdom of my deeper self to rise. I open the door within. Say it until you drift. Say it until the dream begins. And when you wake, write what you saw. We are just beginning. You are not broken. You are deep, and in that depth, the sacred waits. Have you ever wondered, what if your symptoms weren't enemies? What if your anxiety, your fatigue, your chronic pain were not punishments or defects, but messages? Invitations from the forgotten parts of you, calling for reunion. You see, Jung taught us that the psyche will do anything to make itself whole again. If we ignore the whispers, they become screams. If we turn away from the dreams, they become nightmares. If we reject our inner darkness, it leaks through in the form of disease, fear, or compulsive behaviors. The psyche does not stop trying to communicate, ever. So the question is not, will I hear it? But rather, when will I finally listen? Tonight, you listen. Let me share with you a story about Thomas. He was a rational man, an architect, logical, practical, uninterested in anything that couldn't be measured or drawn. But in his late 40s, he began to experience unexplainable paralysis in his right hand. Doctors found nothing wrong. His muscles were intact, his nerves were clean. And yet, he could not draw. One night, Thomas had a dream. He was standing on top of a cathedral he had never built. The entire city was watching. His hand turned to stone in front of them. He felt humiliated. And then a voice from within the dream said, "You built their houses, but where is your own temple?" When he woke up, Thomas felt something crack open inside. For the first time, he wondered if this paralysis wasn't physical, but symbolic. He began a daily journaling practice where he asked his hand what it needed. He drew with his left hand. He let the images come, strange ones, birds with no wings, towers without foundations. Eventually, he uncovered a truth. He had abandoned his passion for sacred architecture in favor of more profitable projects. His soul was starving. Within months of facing this truth and redesigning his career, the paralysis disappeared completely. The hand returned. Now breathe with me. Inhale deeply. Feel your lungs expand. Exhale slowly, like you're releasing centuries of forgetting. Again, inhale and let go. Your body is a map of your soul. Each sensation is a symbol. Jung believed that symptoms were dreams trying to reach you while you're awake. Don't fight them. Dialogue with them. So tonight, I invite you to do a simple but powerful ritual. Take a notebook. On one page, write down a recurring pain or struggle in your life. Be honest. Be raw. On the opposite page, draw it as a symbol. Don't think. Let your hand move. It might be a locked door, a storm, a wounded animal. Trust the image. Then write a letter to it. Start with, "What are you trying to show me?" And let the words come out. This is not about fixing. This is about integration. Because what you repress controls you, but what you accept transforms you. Let me tell you about Miriam. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. She was told she had 6 months. She entered a deep depression. But instead of retreating, she turned to the unconscious. She began a daily visualization, sitting quietly every evening, imagining a garden inside her chest. She saw weeds, dark, twisted vines, choking the flowers. Every night, she would sit and clear one vine, just one, then plant a new seed. She gave each seed a name: forgiveness, joy, truth, childhood. As the garden grew in her imagination, something changed in her body. The scans stopped showing progression. Doctors were stunned. Within 9 months, she was declared in remission. Miriam said, "I didn't fight the cancer. I just listened to what it needed. I grew where I was, withering." You can do the same and know this is not blind belief. This is your birthright. You are not a machine. You are a symbolic being. And healing is remembering your symbols. Now close your eyes again. Imagine yourself in a great hall of mirrors. Each one reflects a different emotion: fear, anger, joy, grief. But there is one mirror, covered. As you approach it, your heartbeat quickens. You know this mirror holds the image of what you've most denied. You pull the cloth away, and what you see is yourself, whole, not broken, not wounded, but radiant. And behind your image, wings. Not because you've become someone else, but because you finally included every part of who you are. This is your task, not to become better, but to become whole. Before sleep tonight, do this practice. Sit in stillness for 5 minutes. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Repeat gently, "I am willing to know what I've hidden. I am safe to feel. I am ready to heal." Let the tears come if they do. Let the breath deepen. Let your soul rise. Tomorrow, write down your dreams, even fragments, symbols, colors. They are your medicine. And if no dream comes, be still. The unconscious is still moving. You are doing the work. You are entering the temple. You are returning to yourself. And I am here, walking beside you in the invisible. There is a moment in every journey when the familiar dissolves, where the world no longer reflects who you are, where old roles no longer fit. The mask begins to crack. The routines become hollow. And in that space, terrifying, silent, uncertain, something begins to stir. That is the space of transformation. Jung called it the night sea journey, the descent into the depths of the unconscious where the true self waits. You are in that descent now. Do not panic. Do not rush. Do not turn back. What you are experiencing is the dissolution of the false self. The ego, that clever mask you built to survive the world, is giving way. And though it may feel like dying, it is actually birth. You are becoming real. Let me tell you about Raphael. Raphael was a soldier, strong, stoic, numb. He returned from war with more scars on the inside than out. Nightmares, rage, guilt. Therapy didn't help. Meds dulled him. So he stopped running. He moved to the mountains, away from distraction. There, he began painting his dreams. Not for anyone else, just for himself. Symbols poured out of him. A child in a cage, a raven with fire in its wings, a mountain of bones. Slowly, he began to sit with these images and speak to them. He learned the raven was his suppressed anger, unexpressed for years. The child was his innocence, abandoned long ago. The bones were his memories, waiting to be honored. In the process of symbolic integration, Raphael changed. The nightmares faded. His body softened. He cried for the first time in decades, and in those tears, healing came. No one diagnosed it. No one prescribed it, but something deeper. The self was finally leading the way. Jung taught that each of us has a self far greater than the ego. It is ancient, wise, and whole. But to meet it, we must go through the shadow, the parts of ourselves we rejected. That's the night sea journey. The descent into the belly of the whale. The dark cave of transformation. This is not about pathology. It is initiation. So here's your practice tonight. Before bed, close your eyes. Visualize a cave, dark, cold, wet. But inside, you carry a torch. Enter the cave. You are not alone. Your unconscious has been waiting for you. Walk deeper. You may meet a figure. It could be a creature, a child, a voice. Don't analyze it. Ask it one question. What do you need me to see? Listen. When you wake, write down what came, even if it makes no sense. Especially if it makes no sense. The unconscious speaks in symbols. Let the symbols do their work. Now, let me share another story. This one is about Alina. She had struggled for years with infertility. Doctors found no explanation. Her body was healthy. Her partner was supportive. But nothing worked. One night, Alina had a vivid dream. She was holding a doll made of ice. Every time she tried to warm it, it melted. In her dream, an old woman whispered, "You must become mother to yourself first." Alina realized that all her life she had cared for others, but never herself. She had suppressed her own needs, her own voice. She began a ritual. Every morning, she would prepare breakfast for herself. Whisper kind words to the girl she used to be, and spend time nurturing her inner world. Slowly, her dreams changed. The doll turned to clay, then to flesh. A year later, she gave birth to twins. The body follows the soul. When the inner world becomes fertile, the outer world reflects it. You must become the parent your inner child never had, the healer your body still waits for, the lover your soul has always deserved. Tonight, I want you to create an altar, not of religion, but of remembrance. Gather a few objects that speak to your soul. A photo, a stone, a feather, a piece of paper with a word that matters. Light a candle, sit before it, and say, I remember myself. I return to myself. I choose to see what was hidden. Let the flame dance with your breath. Let the silence grow deep. Let your unconscious know you are ready. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to meet yourself. In that meeting, miracles happen. You may find an old pain rising again. That's not regression. That's initiation. Sit with it. Breathe into it. Ask it, what do you want me to feel? Often, the pain only wants to be witnessed. You are not weak for feeling. You are brave. You are not broken for struggling. You are alive, and no matter how deep the descent, the self knows the way. Repeat this tonight before sleep. I trust the journey. Even in darkness, I am guided. I am becoming whole and sleep, not as escape, but as return. The dreams tonight will carry messages. Let them come. Tomorrow, speak them aloud. They are sacred. They are your map. You are not alone. What if I told you the very thing you're running from is your medicine? Not the fear, not the pain, but what lies beneath them. Because beneath fear, there's a truth you haven't spoken. Beneath pain, a wound you've never let close. And beneath both, a power so ancient it can't be tamed by the surface mind. Carl Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. But tonight, we stop calling it fate. Tonight, we face it. You've been taught to fear your own depths, conditioned to believe that your emotions are enemies. But Jung knew better. He knew that anxiety is often unclaimed energy. Depression, a call to silence. Rage, a guardian of your boundaries. Every emotion you feel is trying to bring you back to something you lost, yourself. So let's reclaim it. Let me tell you a story about Malik. Malik was a high-level executive, always composed, always calm. But one day, out of nowhere, he began having panic attacks. Not small ones, full body collapses. No explanation, no trigger. He began to avoid meetings. Then his office. Then life itself. One therapist called it burnout, another anxiety disorder. But nothing touched the core until one night Malik had a dream. He was walking through a desert with a child crying behind him. No matter how fast he walked, the crying followed. Finally, he turned. The child was him at 5 years old. Left alone on a school bench, forgotten, afraid. The next day, Malik sat with that image. He wrote a letter to the child. He apologized. He asked what the child needed. The answer was simple: don't forget me again. Malik began a ritual. Every evening, he would light a small candle and talk to his younger self. He offered comfort, compassion, play, and as the weeks passed, the panic disappeared. Not because he fought it, but because he listened. The panic was the child screaming to be seen. Now breathe. Deep into the belly. Hold it. Exhale with sound. Again. And know this: the symptoms are not the problem. They are the messengers. And when the message is heard, the symptom no longer needs to scream. Here is your practice tonight. Sit quietly with a candle. Take a journal. Ask, what part of me have I forgotten? Then wait. A memory may rise. A feeling, an image when it comes. Write it, draw it, speak to it. This is shadow work, not to destroy the shadow, but to bring it into light. Jung never said we must kill the ego or purge the dark. He said we must integrate. And in that integration, the self awakens. Let me share another story. Amara had a skin condition that no one could diagnose. Rash-like, inflamed, painful. It covered her hands. No cream helped. No doctor knew what to do. One evening, in despair, she sat in front of a mirror and asked, "What are you trying to say?" To her shock, the image in the mirror moved. Her own reflection looked back with tears. A voice inside whispered, "Stop hiding." Amara realized she had spent years suppressing her voice, agreeing when she meant no, smiling when she wanted to scream. A skin, her boundary, was screaming. For her, when she began to say no, to set limits, to speak truth, the inflammation stopped. The body is a symbol, and symbols never lie. So now I ask you, what does your body want to say? What does your fatigue mean? What does your insomnia symbolize? What might your pain be protecting? Write it. Let the answer come from the body itself. Place your hand on the part that hurts. Whisper, "I'm listening now." Feel what rises. Let it speak, and tonight, before sleep, repeat, I no longer run from myself. I face what calls me. 1. Listen with love. Let that become your lullaby. The unconscious will respond. Dreams may come vivid or silent, but something inside you has shifted. A door has opened. You are walking back into yourself. And step by step, the fragments are returning. Trust. This, you don't have to understand it all. You only have to keep listening. There is a moment right before transformation completes that feels like nothing is happening. You've cried. You've remembered. You've asked the deep questions. You've watched the dreams. But now, stillness, silence, like a pause between breaths. Do not mistake this stillness for emptiness. It is the space where the self begins to emerge. Jung called this the sacred tension, the waiting between death and rebirth, between the old story collapsing and the new one not yet formed. This is where you are now, and this is where the real alchemy begins. Let me tell you about Jonah. Jonah was a sculptor who lost his hands in an accident, not literally. They still worked, but he stopped creating. For years, he lived in numbness, saying, I no longer feel called. But then, a dream came. He stood before a giant block of marble, faceless. He held a chisel, but his hands were invisible. A voice said, You've made statues for others. Now carve your own face. He woke, trembling. And in the weeks that followed, Jonah began a new work, not of stone, but of self. He sculpted with words, with movement, with silence. He meditated daily on this single phrase, What is my true form? And one night he saw it, not in a mirror, but in a dream, a glowing figure, eyes closed, chest open, a flame within. It was him, not who he had been, not who he pretended to be, but who he always was. This is what the self looks like. Radiant, silent, complete. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remember the one you already are. So tonight, I give you this final practice, not an exercise, but a return. Find a quiet place. Lie down. Place both hands over your heart. Close your eyes. Whisper, I forgive what was. I bless what is. I allow what will be. Then breathe. Let go. Nothing to control now. No more chasing. Key. Just allowing. In this silence, listen. Something ancient is moving inside you. You may not see it, but it sees you. It has waited lifetimes for your attention. This is not a story of fixing. This is the story of homecoming. Let me share one final story. Leora had a terminal diagnosis. The doctors told her she had months, but she wasn't afraid. Not anymore. She said to me, "I've died once already when I gave up my dreams. Now I live every day as a ritual." Every morning she would light incense, sit by the window, and speak aloud, "Today I return to my soul." She drew symbols. She wrote poetry to her body. She walked barefoot on the earth. And something miraculous happened. Not that she recovered, though unexpectedly she did, but that she no longer feared anything, because she remembered she was not just a body, she was a symbol, an archetype, a soul clothed in skin. And the moment she lived as soul, the body followed. You can do this. You already are. Your journey has begun, not by changing who you are, but by turning toward who's always been there, the dreams you've seen, the pain you've faced, the rituals you've practiced. They are working on you, even now. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, repeat softly, "I am whole. I am free. I am the one I've been waiting for." Then silence. Let it echo in your chest. Let it carry you into dreams. You've done the work. You've shown up for your soul. Now rest. Tomorrow, a new phase begins, not as a new you, but as the real you, remembered. And I walk with you. In every breath, every symbol, every night sea journey, the self has risen, and you are home.